So really what I had at the end of the day was a false sense of security. Type 2 diabetes. I had a blood pressure of 180 over 120, and I had no clue. Like literally I had no clue. So to cut a long story short, you really can't outrun a bad diet. You really can't, not with luck, not with age. This might get a little philosophical, but as Ayn Rand said, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Hey Carb Dodgers, hope you're doing well. Today I wanted a little chat about, I guess, denial and the ability to outrun a bad diet for as long as possible. If you don't know my story, I probably hadn't seen the doctor in 20 odd years. I was pretty fit, feeling fine. I was doing a bit of farming activity, so out chopping wood and doing all that sort of good stuff. And then I had the chance at this contract role, and I guess just had a routine pre-employment medical and wasn't expecting anything too adverse. And then boom. So I was feeling fine, carrying probably a bit too much weight. I was I think 123 odd kilos at that point in time. So I guess I was ignoring my health to some degree, and as a result of that medical, my world pretty much fell apart. It turned out I had really bad type 2 diabetes. I had a blood pressure of 180 over 120, and I had no clue. Like literally I had no clue that was going on in my life. So I guess that's when everything changed, and I'm thankful, so thankful that it did. So to cut a long story short, you really can't outrun a bad diet. You really can't, not with luck, not with age, and certainly not with denial. A lot of people will be carrying a bit too much weight and think, well, I'm feeling fine, everything's really good, when in fact under the bonnet, under the hood, it can be far from that. So you can just I guess lie to yourself that things are good, things are fine, it's just a bit of a beer belly, it's just middle-aged spread, that's normal, everybody gets that, but it will find you out. The truth will find you out, whether that's just keeling over one day unexpectedly, or whether that's a medical diagnosis that you weren't expecting. The consequences of what you do to yourself is a ticking time bomb, and hopefully today we can just discuss a little bit about what you can do about that. So eventually the truth finds you, and it certainly found me. That's no two ways about it. So, and when you do find out things aren't as good as you thought, you've got some choices to make, I guess. You can continue to ignore it, continue to think, well, it's not too bad, it's just kind of normal for my age, when in reality there's a whole bunch of things you can do to help. Really down to you whether you face it or ignore it. Got the boys there, they're carb loading, God bless them. So really what I had at the end of the day was a false sense of security. I never felt sick, never got colds, never got the flu. Get out and chop 2 ton of wood on a weekend, no problem at all. Yet kind of chewing away internally, I had this massive blood pressure and blood sugar problem, and I just had to face it. So, and you don't have to be a big fat person like me. You can be quite skinny and still have underlying blood glucose and blood sugar problems that eventually lead to diabetes, you know, and there's some pretty nasty stuff happens if you have diabetes for any length of time. You know, people lose legs, lose feet, you know, on a regular basis. Some people, you know, some surgeons, that's all they do is amputate feet, amputate limbs, you know, just based on sugar imbalances, and often they are, let's face it, they're self-inflicted. So when I got the call that I was type 2 diabetic, that I had massively high blood pressure, the doctors swooped in pretty much straight away with a, you know, basically a bucket load of meds. So they said, right, get on this double dose of metformin and X-Forge and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I said, well, how long have I got to take these? And they said, well, that's you for life, mate. You know, this is what you'll need to do for the rest of your life. You know, I don't know about you, but you know, that's not something that I was real chuffed about or keen to do. So I set about you know, researching to see if there's anything I could do myself, you know, any responsibility I could take. You know, I'd been the one shoving the sugar down my throat for 30-40 years. So, you know, I was looking for ways that I could, you know, take a bit of responsibility, take some control back, and that's exactly what I did. So one of my favorite sayings is, nobody's coming to save you. And that's, you know, I still believe that's pretty much true. You know, the doctors, they're well-intentioned, but they've got, you know, they need to churn you through in 10 minutes to keep their appointment quota up. And so they'll take the path of least resistance. You know, it's just, I guess, business, human nature, call it what you will. But I realized that it was definitely, if I was going to fix this thing, then it's going to be pretty much up to me. So I hit the old Dr. Google, looked at, you know, the causes and resolutions, you know, things that you could do to fix high blood pressure and blood sugar levels. And I guess the disappointing thing was the docs, you know, were 100% focused on meds, and not one of them said at any point in time, stop eating sugar. You know, it's seems quite a reasonable thing to expect from a medical professional. You know, stop eating what's killing you. And yet they were just concentrating on tuning the meds, getting me on stronger doses, and you know, not like literally, I 100% promise you, not one of them said, well, could you just stop eating some sugar? Like, not one. Yeah, not one of them said, you know, just stop. On my research journey, I discovered a YouTube channel called Low Carb Down Under. One of the videos on there was from a doctor called Dr. Gary Fedke, and it just so happens that he lived literally 15 kilometers away from me in a little island called Tasmania off the bottom of Australia. Now me originally, I'm from Somerset in the UK, but we've been out in Australia for, oh god, 30 plus, probably 40 years now. So hence I haven't got a, you know, strong southern accent. But yeah, that's where I originally hailed from. And so, you know, Tasmania is a little pinprick on the map, and to have one of the preeminent low carb advocate physicians within a stone's throw was just kind of what pricked my ears up, I guess. And you know, there was a bit of inherent trust, basically based on geography. But I listened to him, and then listened to the other people on that channel, learnt about the, you know, what carbs were doing, how carbs turned into sugar, how you know, seed oils effectively, you know, they were made as engine oil to start with, and the inflammation they cause was kind of shocking, to be honest. And I had no clue. I'm a fairly, you know, I like to consider myself a fairly intelligent person. You know, I was in software engineering for a long time. Now I spend my time mostly looking after these boys. And yeah, I had no clue that you know, rice was essentially full of starch, and starch is just a big chain of sugar. And so while it's not sweet, that's the stuff that was getting me. So the most upsetting thing, I think, was the sense of almost betrayal. You know, once you learn what the processed food industry does, what they're doing to you, you know, and seemingly your expense for their profits is, yeah, kind of made me angry, I guess. And the sad thing is, they're still full steam ahead. Absolutely. So the carbohydrates, the processed cereals, processed grains, the seed oils, everything packed with sugar, because the food industry spent 20 years demonizing fat, demonizing animal fat, demonizing red meat, and replacing it with carb or sugar laden products that you know, that spike your insulin, spike your blood sugar, give you type 2 diabetes, and unless you make it your mission to work that out, then you'll be in the same boat I was. So what did I do? I took back control, pretty much one bite at a time. So I looked at the food pyramid and basically turned that upside down, so that the most of my food was now coming from meat and dairy and eggs and butter, and I was cooking in lard, cooking in butter. You know, the seed oil, the canola oil, the vegetable oil all went in the bin. And there's a big hint: if you want less inflammation, less achy joints, less propensity to develop Alzheimer's or dementia, then I strongly urge you to ditch the seed oil, you know, before it ditches you. So don't believe me? Go look at that Low Carb Down Under YouTube channel. Have a look at the work of Dr. Fetke, of Dr. Paul Mason, even Dr. Sean Baker. Now, he's a big carnivore advocate. He's been carnivore for 8 years, 9 years, I want to say, maybe longer. Dr. Anthony Chaffee, he's 26 years carnivore, I think. I mean, he's got a strong belief that all plants are trying to kill you, so he avoids plants. I'm not that deep into the weeds, but I do, you know, favor kind of a large protein intake over, you know, over vegetables, and certainly the bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, they're all pretty much a thing of the past. So yeah, don't believe me, go do some research. You know, it doesn't take long to find all this stuff, and you know, it could potentially save your life. You know, I'm 100% confident that it saved mine. That's hand on heart, the truth. So yeah, moving on to low carb, it was definitely a new reality. As this might get a little philosophical, but as Ayn Rand said, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So it means you can, you know, continue carb loading, continue spiking your blood sugar, and you know, ignore the consequences. But if you're anything like me, metabolically, that is going to catch up with you. Okay, the truth is the truth is a bitch, I guess. My truth was shown in my blood glucose, it was shown in my blood sugar levels. My body was telling me there was a problem. Now, admittedly, I didn't know that for 20 to 30 years. So I know God knows what damage was done long term. But once I found out, then, you know, I was able to do something about it. I was able to exercise a bit of personal responsibility and to take back control. So when was the last time you had a proper look under the hood? You know, have you had your BP and your blood sugars measured? If you're, you know, like me, the wrong side of 50, I've just tipped 60, and you haven't had a checkup, haven't had your blood sugars or blood pressure measured for a while, then it's probably a good thing to do. Yeah, so my look under the hood was like I said, just a routine pre-employment medical, and it found all sorts of problems, but all the problems that they found, I was able to address and reverse and fix by adopting a low carb diet. So it's not a fad, it's not a, you know, a 2-week thing, it's not a month thing, it's a permanent lifestyle change. Now, do I miss potatoes? Do I miss rice? Do I miss pasta? Yeah, you better believe it. But I found, you know, some quite reasonable alternatives, and I've got a recipe playlist on this YouTube channel, and you know, a few of those kind of cheaty replacements are detailed on there. So you're quite welcome to go check them out if you like. So I've been Alan, the Carb Survivor. If you like this message, I've got a whole bunch of videos on my channel that you're welcome to go watch. If you want to keep in touch with new ones, it would be great if you could subscribe. I think there's a bell thingy somewhere you can click, not sure where, and it'd be great if you could check out a few if you like, you know, if you're a big pizza fan but now you're worried about the consequences of eating traditional pizza. I've got a very low carb option in that recipe playlist. In fact, I'll link that to the end of this video. Okay, once again, I've been Alan. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in your low carb journey. If you want any help, if you've got questions, you're not sure about anything, just drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer everybody. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye. Hey, come on, let's go.